Hi there, this is Daniel Cremin, and this video is all about marking the 1 week anniversary of the creation of at Cremin's Corner. In this, I'm going to talk about, why I set up the channel, why it's called Cremin's Corner, tell you a little bit about me, and then sort of outline where I would like the channel to go over time, what my aspirations are for it. Let's start at the top. Why did I do it? And why is it called Cremin's Corner? Well, to begin with, my name is Daniel Cremin. I'm in my early 40s. My background is in public affairs, policy analysis. Um, and I'd always sort of felt that while I was very much adjacent to Westminster and Whitehall, the nature of my responsibilities at the time always kind of precluded me from being too publicly engaged in my own right. I would certainly comment on social media, but I didn't really make the running. I didn't really feel I had my own authentic voice and able to speak out as I wanted. I'm now sort of, I think, fortunately in more of a position where I feel I have the freedom and the flexibility to do that. And so I'm going to take that opportunity. And the name Cremin's Corner. So there's that phrase in life, fight your own corner. To kind of make the running on the issues that matter to you, the values that you hold dear, your ethos. And we are in tumultuous times across the West, not just in this country, and we need to reset. We need to find our bearings and move forward if we're going to revitalise all that we hold dear. So I want to be part and parcel of that conversation, and I want to kind of help make the case and advocate for the issues that matter to me. But I also want to offer, really good analysis of what's happening, draw on my skills and my background as an analyst and as an advocate. Cremin's Corner. It was also, my corner of the net, as it were. That's the reason for the name of the channel. In terms of what I want it to kind of focus on and how I want to sort of approach it, well, it's going to be about a range of things, as it says in the description. It's kind of going to have a bit of a focus on politics, and particularly from a pro-reform angle. Come on to that a little bit more later. But also, genuinely want to focus in on public policy issues, things that matter to me, things that are really important to the country, giving my take, giving my analysis. I'm hoping over time to be able to interview people about both of these topics and also about UK culture, where things are going. I'm going to have to kind of, I'm a total amateur, I should just say. So I'm starting out, I'm really learning the very basic ropes on video editing, and I'm still doing that on my phone at the moment. I will invest in video editing software at some stage on my laptop and have a go that way. But I'm just learning the ropes at the moment, and it's trial by error. But my hope, my intention is that this channel will also host over time some recorded video conversations that I will have with people. I really enjoy the long form conversation, and that's the sort of thing that I would like to try and do a bit more of over time. I'm also hoping, probably, not definitely under the name Cremin's Corner, it might be something different, to start a Substack in the near future, kind of a companion platform to this YouTube channel. So watch this space for that. I'm still sort of kicking around what that will look like, but that's very much on the bill of ideas for the future. In terms of how I want to approach the channel, so I would say there's three sort of guiding principles for me for how I want to comport myself, how I want to conduct myself on the channel. One is to be as authentic as I possibly can be. Now, I will always tell it as I see it. I'm not going to pander. There will be times when you may feel, oh, what is he talking about? He's taking, a completely odd view to everybody else. But that's just the way I am. I'm going to tell you what I think. Whether you agree with it or not, I'm going to tell you what I think as best I can. But I'm also going to, as I do that, I'm not going to go for shock value. And the second principle is being calm and level headed. This is not a channel that's going to be hating on people. I don't see that as constructive politics. I don't see that as the way to kind of, to frame your ideas and to sort of build support around the things that matter to you. So as I kind of engage, I don't want to be too snarling or sneering at other people. I want to kind of play it straight, analyze things as best I can. Now, of course, there'll be a bit of cut and thrust, robust discussion over time of certain personalities and issues, but I will always try to be level headed and steady. And the third principle, yeah, is to be constructive. It's to kind of share ideas in a positive light, to try and sort of, you know, constructively contribute to the betterment of my country and of the world. But in the spirit of that, it's not being somebody who's always looking for fault in every single issue, trying to look for the commonalities, trying to look, across the political spectrum at good ideas where I find them. There may well be times on this channel where you see me praising a Labour policy idea or even a Conservative idea. I know that might seem hard when you look at some of my ex content, but there may well be times when I do that. So I want to be constructive, and I say this: although I'm pro-reform, I am not somebody who's deeply dogmatic and tribalistic by nature. I have been in the past in another political party, been in two political parties actually. I'm going to be honest about this. I started out in my early 20s, my late teens as a Labour Party member, very politically different to where I am today, much more in that sort of New Labour vein. And kind of you grow up, you experience, you kind of get on the housing ladder. The Labour Party have certainly reverted to type, and I kind of kept on my journey from modestly. I was always very modestly centre left only into the centre right. I joined the Conservatives. I was very moved in the early 2010s by. I was really excited by the kind of what Michael Gove was doing in education. Some of those reforms were really great at the time. Really sort of moving the dial forward, taking some of the better aspects of the Blair agenda and building on them in terms of education standards and taking on bad schools. So all of those kind of things made me join the Conservatives. But as they lost their way, I kind of could not go on supporting them, and that's why I ended up in Reform. So I am a party member, but I am not this deeply partisan person that sees it as kind of. I don't approach politics as a football team. I think parties are there to serve an end. They are a means to an end, and the aim is to kind of nudge them on in the right way over time as a party member. You have to use your voice constructively, but that doesn't mean always being a critic and always being looking for negativities and holding them up to ridiculously high standards. Yes, you've got to be guided by values. It's not all about vibes in politics, but at the same time, you also have to kind of exercise a bit of patience, and you have to kind of go with the grain of human nature and recognize that not everybody is going to agree on all sorts of issues, and there's always going to be an element of compromise. So that's where I'm kind of coming at this from, is to be pragmatic and constructive in the sort of advice and the analysis that I sort of provide over time. Try and kind of be a positive influencing force. As we all as a society kind of face up to some of these big issues that are ahead, and there are big issues. Absolutely, we are in very contentious and difficult times, uncertain times globally. Geopolitically, I don't think that it's been a harder time for the West. I think in terms of economic competition globally, we are not in a good place as a country at the moment. That is not so that doesn't that's not our destiny to be in that place. That's the combination over a long time of aggregated choices that have been poor. We have not approached the last 30 years since the fall of Margaret Thatcher particularly well. And I'm going to try and explore over time some of the things that have gone wrong. We've pursued a particular form of globalization that has not been beneficial to us over time. And I say that as somebody who is pro-market, who is, believes ultimately in the value of competition and choice, and thinks free trade should be part and parcel of an economic strategy. But you've got to approach it in a smart way. So I want to talk about some of those issues over time. I want to talk about defence and law and order. I would definitely want to talk about education, which is a subject very dear to my heart. And I have a young son. He's very much I've got a stakeholder in ensuring that our schools, our colleges, our universities are in the best state they can be. So all of those things matter to me. I'm also really interested in reform's mission. Hopefully, it will be reform that form the next government if we get things right in how they're going to take on some of these establishment interests that are most ranged against preventing radical change that we need. I want to talk about the civil service. I'm going to talk about the quangos. I'm going to talk about civic institutions outside of the public sector technically, but very much publicly funded. Those sort of national institutions that do have a big bearing on our life, and in some cases, are not guiding the country in the right direction. So all of those kind of issues matter to me, and I hope to bring some of these topics up over time on the channel. And I want to talk much more about the drivers of prosperity and where we need to go in terms of reframing our economic policy and building a much more dynamic business environment for the future, where we have lower taxes, a more proportionate approach to regulation, and just a much more generally pro enterprise, pro growth culture. That all matters to me greatly. So hopefully over time, you'll enjoy tuning into the channel and hearing about some of these things. I'm going to build it iteratively. It's going to take time, but stay with me. It's all going to be worth it. And yeah, do give me a follow on at Daniel Cremin GB and also at Daniel Reform UK on X. Thanks very much. Cheers.